تلك الرسل فضلنا بعضهم على بعض منهم من كلم الله ورفع بعضهم درجات وآتينا عيسى ابن مريم البينات وأيدناه بروح القدس ولو شاء الله ما اقتتل الذين من بعدهم من بعد ما جاءتهم البينات ولكن اختلفوا فمنهم من آمن ومنهم من كفر ولو شاء الله ما اقتتلوا ولكن الله يفعل ما يريد يا أيها الذين آمنوا أنفقوا مما رزقناكم من قبل أن يأتي يوم لا بيع فيه ولا خلة ولا شفاعة والكافرون هم الظالمون الله لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم لا تأخذه سنة ولا نوم له ما في السماوات وما في الأرض من ذا الذي يشفع عنده إلا بإذنه يعلم ما بين أيديهم وما خلفهم ولا يحيطون بشيء من علمه إلا بما شاء وسع كرسيه السماوات والأرض ولا يؤوده حفظهما وهو العلي العظيم لا إكراه في الدين قد تبين الرشد من الغي فمن يكفر بالطاغوت ويؤمن بالله فقد استمسك بالعروة الوثقى لا انفصام لها والله سميع عليم الله ولي الذين آمنوا يخرجهم من الظلمات إلى النور والذين كفروا أولياؤهم الطاغوت يخرجونهم من النور إلى الظلمات أولئك أصحاب النار هم فيها خالدون ألم تر إلى الذي حاج إبراهيم في ربه أن آتاه الله الملك ألم تر إلى الذي حاج إبراهيم في ربه أن آتاه الله الملك إذ قال إبراهيم ربي الذي يحيي ويميت قال أنا أحيي وأميت قال إبراهيم فإن الله يأتي بالشمس من المشرق فأت بها من المغرب فبهت الذي كفر والله لا يهدي القوم الظالمين أو كالذي مر على قرية وهي خاوية على عروشها قال أنى يحيي هذه الله بعد موتها فأماته الله 100 عام ثم بعثه قال كم لبثت قال لبثت يوما أو بعض يوم قال بل لبثت 100 عام فانظر إلى طعامك وشرابك لم يتسنه وانظر إلى حمارك ولنجعلك آية للناس وانظر إلى العظام كيف ننشزها ثم نكسوها لحما فلما تبين له قال أعلم أن الله على كل شيء قدير وإذ قال إبراهيم رب أرني كيف تحيي الموتى قال أولم تؤمن قال بلى ولكن ليطمئن قلبي قال فخذ 4 من الطير فصرهن إليك ثم اجعل على كل جبل منهن جزءا ثم ادعهن يأتينك سعيا واعلم أن الله عزيز حكيم مثل الذين ينفقون أموالهم في سبيل الله كمثل حبة أنبتت 7 سنابل في كل سنبلة 100 حبة والله يضاعف لمن يشاء والله واسع عليم الذين ينفقون أموالهم في سبيل الله ثم لا يتبعون ما أنفقوا منا ولا أذى لهم أجرهم عند ربهم ولا خوف عليهم ولا هم يحزنون قول معروف ومغفرة خير من صدقة يتبعها أذى والله غني حليم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا تبطلوا صدقاتكم بالمن والأذى كالذي ينفق ماله رئاء الناس ولا يؤمن بالله واليوم الآخر فمثله كمثل صفوان عليه تراب فأصابه وابل فتركه صلدا لا يقدرون على شيء مما كسبوا والله لا يهدي القوم الكافرين. ومثل الذين ينفقون أموالهم ابتغاء مرضات الله وتثبيتا من أنفسهم كمثل جنة بربوة أصابها وابل فأتت أكلها ضعفين فإن لم يصبها وابل فطل والله بما تعملون بصير. أيود أحدكم أن تكون له جنة من نخيل وأعناب تجري من تحتها الأنهار له فيها من كل الثمرات وأصابه الكبر وله ذرية ضعفاء فأصابها إعصار فيه نار فاحترقت كذلك يبين الله لكم الآيات لعلكم تتفكرون. يا أيها الذين آمنوا أنفقوا من طيبات ما كسبتم ومما أخرجنا لكم من الأرض ولا تيمموا الخبيث منه تنفقون ولستم بآخذيه إلا أن تغمضوا فيه واعلموا أن الله غني حميد. الشيطان يعدكم الفقر ويأمركم بالفحشاء والله يعدكم مغفرة منه وفضلا والله واسع عليم. يؤتي الحكمة من يشاء ومن يؤت الحكمة فقد أوتي خيرا كثيرا وما يذكر إلا أولو الألباب. وما أنفقتم من نفقة أو نذرتم من نذر فإن الله يعلمه وما للظالمين من أنصار إن تبدوا الصدقات فنعم ما هي وإن تخفوها وتؤتوها الفقراء فهو خير لكم ويكفر عنكم من سيئاتكم والله بما تعملون خبير. ليس عليك هداهم ولكن الله يهدي من يشاء وما تنفقوا من خير فلأنفسكم وما تنفقون إلا ابتغاء وجه الله وما تنفقوا من خير يوفى إليكم وأنتم لا تظلمون. للفقراء الذين أحصروا في سبيل الله لا يستطيعون ضربا في الأرض يحسبهم الجاهل أغنياء من التعفف تعرفهم بسيماهم لا يسألون الناس إلحافا وما تنفقوا من خير فإن الله به عليم. الذين ينفقون أموالهم بالليل والنهار سرا وعلانية فلهم أجرهم عند ربهم ولا خوف عليهم ولا هم يحزنون. الذين يأكلون الربا لا يقومون إلا كما يقوم الذي يتخبطه الشيطان من المس، ذلك بأنهم قالوا إنما البيع مثل الربا وأحل الله البيع وحرم الربا، فمن جاءه موعظة من ربه فانتهى فله ما سلف وأمره إلى الله ومن عاد فأولئك أصحاب النار هم فيها خالدون. يمحق الله الربا ويربي الصدقات والله لا يحب كل كفار أثيم. إن الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وأقاموا الصلاة وآتوا الزكاة لهم أجرهم عند ربهم ولا خوف عليهم ولا هم يحزنون. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وذروا ما بقي من الربا إن كنتم مؤمنين، فإن لم تفعلوا فأذنوا بحرب من الله ورسوله، وإن تبتم فلكم رؤوس أموالكم لا تظلمون ولا تظلمون. وإن كان ذو عسرة فنظرة إلى ميسرة وأن تصدقوا خير لكم إن كنتم تعلمون. واتقوا يوما ترجعون فيه إلى الله ثم توفى كل نفس ما كسبت وهم لا يظلمون. يا أيها الذين آمنوا إذا تداينتم بدين إلى أجل مسمى فاكتبوه، وليكتب بينكم كاتب بالعدل ولا يأب كاتب أن يكتب كما علمه الله، فليكتب وليملل الذي عليه الحق وليتق الله ربه ولا يبخس منه شيئا، فإن كان الذي عليه الحق سفيها أو ضعيفا أو لا يستطيع أن يمل هو فليملل وليه بالعدل واستشهدوا شهيدين من رجالكم، فإن لم يكونا رجلين فرجل وامرأتان ممن ترضون من الشهداء أن تضل إحداهما فتذكر إحداهما الأخرى، ولا يأبى الشهداء إذا ما دعوا، ولا تسأموا أن تكتبوا صغيرا أو كبيرا إلى أجله، ذلكم أقسط عند الله وأقوم للشهادة وأدنى ألا ترتابوا، إلا أن تكون تجارة حاضرة تديرونها بينكم فليس عليكم جناح ألا تكتبوها، وأشهدوا إذا تبايعتم ولا يضار كاتب ولا شهيد، وإن تفعلوا فإنه فسوق بكم، واتقوا الله ويعلمكم الله والله بكل شيء عليم. وإن كنتم على سفر ولم تجدوا كاتبا فرهان مقبوضة، فإن أمن بعضكم بعضا فليؤدي الذي اؤتمن أمانته وليتق الله ربه ولا تكتموا الشهادة ومن يكتمها فإنه آثم قلبه والله بما تعملون عليم. لله ما في السماوات وما في الأرض وإن تبدوا ما في أنفسكم أو تخفوا يحاسبكم به الله فيغفر لمن يشاء ويعذب من يشاء والله على كل شيء قدير. آمن الرسول بما أنزل إليه من ربه والمؤمنون كل آمن بالله وملائكته وكتبه ورسله لا نفرق بين أحد من رسله وقالوا سمعنا وأطعنا غفرانك ربنا وإليك المصير. لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها لها ما كسبت وعليها ما اكتسبت ربنا لا تؤاخذنا إن نسينا أو أخطأنا ربنا ولا تحمل علينا إصرا كما حملته على الذين من قبلنا ربنا ولا تحملنا ما لا طاقة لنا به واعف عنا واغفر لنا وارحمنا أنت مولانا فانصرنا على القوم الكافرين.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Here we begin the third juz, and this is towards the end of Sūrah al-Baqarah. Those messengers, we have preferred some of them to others. So some of them Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala spoke directly, and others He raised to degrees, yani in honor. And to Isa, yani Isa ibn Maryam, the son of Maryam, we gave clear proofs and evidences and supported him with Ruh al-Muqaddas, Ruh al-Quds. Tayyib, first thing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and again here, this is the meanings of the translations and explanations, additions, trying to explain the meanings of the Quran. The Quran is what is in Arabic, Kalamullah ghair makhluq. Here, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells for those messengers from the Rasul, those that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent a message to, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala preferred some of them over others. Yani not all messengers are at the same level. Yani many Anbiya, we don't even know their names. Many of the Rusul, we don't know their names. But we know those that are mentioned in the Quran, we know those that are mentioned in Sahih Hadith, and from amongst them we know there are some that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala spoke directly to. For example, we look at the conversation that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala used to have with Musa alayhi salatu wasalam. It was a direct conversation. Others were not given that honor. Others were just sent a message through Jibreel alayhi salatu wasalam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala spoke to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam directly on Isra al Mi'raj, without Jibreel alayhi salam between them. But other Anbiya didn't get this. And He raised some of them to higher degrees in honor. Even though we as Muslims believe in all of the Anbiya the same, yani we have the same belief. We don't believe in some of them and disbelieve in some of them. But we do know that some were given higher status than others. And to Isa, and we're talking about Jesus, as in English it's referred to, Isa, the son of Maryam. We give clear proofs. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent him with clear ayat, clear proofs. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala supported him with Ruh al-Quds. Al-Quds here, what is being referred to here is not what the Christians call the Holy Spirit. And the Holy Spirit is a concept that the Christians have distorted. Rather, what is being referred to as the ulama of tafsir like Ibn Kathir and At-Tabari and others have mentioned through riwayat and narrations from the Sahaba radiyallahu anhum is Jibreel alayhi salatu wasalam. Yani Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala supported Isa alayhi salam with the help of Jibreel alayhi salatu salam. If Allah had willed, succeeding generations would not have fought against each other after clear verses of Allah had come to them. Yani, if we look at the Anbiya, they brought clear evidences, right? If we look at what happened with Ibrahim alayhi salam being thrown in the fire, it's a clear proof. When Isa alayhi salam being born without a father, walking on water or healing the sick or whatever other miracles Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave to Isa alayhi salam, if Allah had willed, the people would have just become one. But there is no test then. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made this dunya to be a test. Some people say, why didn't Allah just make everybody a believer, just force them? But that's not what this dunya is for. Allah does what He wills. And Allah made this dunya as a test. So if Allah had willed, some of them would have all come together. But they differed. Yani the people, they differed amongst each other. Some of them believed and others they didn't believe. If Allah had willed, they would not have fought against one another, but Allah does what He wills. O you who believe, spend of that which has been provided for you, before a day comes when there will be no bargaining, no friendship, no intercession. And it will be the disbelievers who will be the wrongdoers, the zalimun, the oppressors. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala here ordains upon us to spend of what Allah has given us. Everything that we have from wealth is from who? It's from Allah. You didn't make your money, Allah gave it to you. You may have gotten a job, but if Allah didn't will it, you would not have had any of that wealth. So Allah is telling you, remember that it is from Allah, so spend in His sake. Spend on who? Allah doesn't need your wealth. You spend on the poor, you spend on the needy, you spend on others. This is the mercy that Allah teaches us in Islam. And be fearful. Remember, if you become stingy and if you become greedy, remember a day is coming where there will be no bargaining. And on the day of judgment, you can't buy your way out. You can't be like, I'm a billionaire, I'm a rich guy, I'm a president, I got connects, I got friends. No. A day where there will be no bargaining and no friendship. You cannot just be like, oh, I used to be the neighbor of the sheikh, so I should be taken out of Jahannam. No. You will have to give account for yourself. No intercession. Even though we know there is shifa, in the sense that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam will make shifa for the ummah, the salihin will make shifa, the shuhada, the Quran. And we know that those are established from authentic evidences. But what is meant here, that there is no shifa except by what Allah has ordained. And nobody can go and say, oh, I knew the king of Fulan, so he can get me out this day. Like today, you get locked up, you got connects, you call somebody, they can get you out. You got a good enough lawyer, he can get you out. Not on the day of judgment. The day of judgment is the day of justice. That kind of thing doesn't work. And the disbelievers, the kafirun, they are the zalimun, they are the oppressors. They will be the ones we will know. Today they hide. They hide, oh, we are the peacemakers, we are bringing peace, we are bringing democracy, we are bringing this, we are bringing that. But on that day, they will be known that they are the ones who are zalimun. The next verse that we're going to mention is Ayatul Kursi. Ayatul Kursi, the greatest ayah in the Quran. Many fadail of it are mentioned in many ahadith. I don't want to go too far into it because we're trying to be short here. Allah, la ilaha illa huwa. Allah, none has the right to be worshipped except Him. Except you, Allah. Al-Hayyul Qayyum, the ever-living, the one who sustains and protects all that exists. Neither slumber nor sleep overtakes Him. And I'm not going to get into the depth of Tafsir Ayatul Kursi. We could do many durus. It's very beautiful, but we'll just go a little bit. To Him belongs whatever is in the heavens and whatever is on earth. Who is He that can intercede with Him except with His permission? This ayah makes tafsir of the ayah before it. That there is shifa, but only with the permission of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He knows what happens to them, yani the creation in this world, and what will happen to them, yani in the hereafter. And there will never compass anything of His knowledge except which He wills. Yani people can never grasp from the knowledge of Allah except what Allah reveals to the people. His kursi extends over the heavens and the earth, and He feels no fatigue in guarding and preserving them. Tayyib, regarding kursi, some of the translations we've seen of the Quran, and some of the brothers in their translations, they call it the throne. The kursi, the throne, the verse of the throne. This is a mistake. Throne in Arabic is called arsh. There is the arsh. Kursi, if we look at the linguistics of it in classic Arabic, this would be what would be called a footstool, what somebody would rest their feet on. It can also refer to a chair. And in the earlier Arabic language, they didn't have chairs the way we see chairs. But it can be referred to a chair, but linguistically it would be closer to what's called a footstool. Translating it to the throne is a mistake. As we said, throne in the Arabic language is arsh, and arsh is mentioned in the Quran as well. So there is the arsh and there is the kursi. The Prophet ﷺ, he said about the kursi that compared to the arsh is nothing but like a ring thrown in a huge desert or an open space. If the kursi extends over the entire universe, now imagine, the Prophet ﷺ said the kursi of Allah compared to the arsh of Allah is like a small ring thrown in front of a huge desert. The kursi is just a footstool, the arsh is much bigger. Here, if we see that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran tells us that the kursi extends over all of the skies, the heavens and the earth, all of that, the kursi is bigger than that. Imagine the arsh. Imagine how big that would be. And then imagine Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the creator of the arsh. It's beyond our understanding how great Allah is. Shaykh al-Islam Taqiyuddin ibn Taymiyyah, in the tafsir of these ayat, in explaining them in his Majmu' al-Fatawa, he said that we believe in the kursi and we believe in the arsh. Yani those are two different things. He said it's narrated that Muhammad ibn Abdullah, from some of the other imam and scholars of the past, that the kursi is in front of the arsh and at the level of the feet. And this is from Majmu' al-Fatawa, volume number 5, page number 54 and 55. Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu who's reported that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam ordered me to guard zakatul mal, yani zakat. And this is regarding the virtue of Ayatul Kursi. He said that as he was guarding the Baytul Mal, somebody came and started to steal from Baytul Mal. Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu caught this person. And he said, I will take you to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And the whole nation, yani everybody will know. And the person, he said, he started to beg Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, started telling him, I have children, I have needs, and this, let me go. So Abu Hurairah let him go. And then this happened a second night. And then he went to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Rasulullah didn't know of what happened, but he told Abu Hurairah what happened to your prisoner last night. Abu Hurairah told him he started to beg, he was in need, so I let him go. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam told him he is a liar and he will come again. A second night, the same came, the same happened. Abu Hurairah became soft when he started to beg, he let him go again. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam asked him again, what happened to your prisoner? Abu Hurairah said that he was in need and this, so I let him go. Rasulullah said he is a liar, he will come again. A third night, it happened again, as Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said. This is the miracles of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He came again and it started to happen again. Abu Hurairah grabbed him and kept him and said, I will not leave you. So the man, he told him that if you leave me, I will teach you something of knowledge, and something beneficial. And the Sahaba love to learn knowledge. So Abu Hurairah told him, okay. So he said, when you go to bed, recite Ayatul Kursi. This ayah that we just read. It is the 255th ayah of Sūrah al-Baqarah. For then there will be from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala a guard to protect you all night long, and shaitan will not be able to come to you or near you till Fajr. You will be protected from jinn, from shayateen, from shaitan messing with you, from these things. So he told him, what is this? He said, this is this ayah, Ayatul Kursi. The next morning, when he went to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Rasulullah, what happened to your prisoner? He told him, this is what he told me. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, he has told you the truth, even though he is a liar. Oh Abu Hurairah, do you know who this is that you've been dealing with? He told him, no. He said, this is Iblis, a shaitan. A shaitan, he wanted to take the barakah of zakatul mal, of baytul mal, to take it away from the believers. He was taking it away. And Abu Hurairah, he was able to capture him and get this beneficial knowledge from him. The end of the ayah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He reminds us again that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala feels no fatigue. He doesn't need to rest. Like the Christians say, God created and then on the last day He rested. He was tired. No, Allah is greater than that. He doesn't need to rest. Allah never becomes tired. And He feels no fatigue in guarding and preserving the kursi and the arsh and all of the makhluqat and the samawat and the earth and all of that. And He is the most high and the most great. There is no compulsion in the religion. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not compel the religion. What does that mean? Some people misunderstand this verse to think that it means that you cannot establish the sharia or you cannot have hudud. That's not what's meant. There is a lot of tafsir and things, but I will just give the summary here. No compulsion in the religion, meaning that we don't force anybody to become a Muslim. You don't put a gun to somebody and say, become Muslim. No, that's not the way the da'wah works. You don't put the sword to somebody and say, become a Muslim. Islam begins in the heart. It's professed on the tongue. And it's manifest in the limbs. So it cannot be, if it begins in the heart, how can you force somebody to accept something from their heart? There is no compulsion in that sense, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has not ordained for us to force anybody to become a Muslim. But there is the implementation of Islamic laws. You do enforce laws. Otherwise, if you don't have laws, then people will not, those that don't fear Allah will then do whatever. So there is compulsion in that sense where you enforce laws, but there is no compulsion in that we don't force anybody to become Muslim. Verily, the right path has become distinct from the wrong path. Whoever disbelieves in the Taghut and believes in Allah, then he has grasped the most trustworthy handhold that will never break. And Allah is the all-hearer and all-knower. What does that mean? Taghut, when we look in the tafsir of al-Taghut, كُلَّمَا عُبِدَ مِن دُونَ اللَّهِ. Everything that is worshipped other than Allah can be considered Taghut. Any system of law that is made khalif to the Sharia is a part of the Taghut. Why? Because a part of the uluhiyyah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is that we rule by the Sharia of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That none is worshipped except Allah. Anything that is made dua to accept other than Allah, anybody who goes and prays to a saint or a grave or a rock or a statue, this is all Taghut. Anything that tries to take the place of Allah. And anybody who disbelieves in Taghut, disbelieves in any forms of governance other than the Sharia, disbelieves in worshipping anything but Allah, disbelieves in making dua to anybody but Allah, then he has grasped the most trustworthy handhold, and that will never break. The help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is then with them. And Allah is the all-hearer and all-knower. Allah hears and sees everything. Allah is the wali, is the protector of those who believe. Who is our wali? Allah. Who is our protector? Allah. Who is our close friend? Allah. He brings them out from darkness into light. What is darkness? Kufr, shirk, everything other than Islam, every form of governance other than Sharia. This is dhulumat. Allah takes us out of that into the justice, into the peace, into the light, the nur of Islam. But as for those who disbelieve, their awliya, their protectors, their supporters are taghut, false deities, and false leaders, false promises, false ways of governance. All of that is taghut. They bring them out from light into darkness. Those people, they take people from the light, and whether it's through bribery or promises of liberty and promises of this and that and communism and socialism and this ism and that ism and evolution and all of this, they take people from the light of Islam, try to take them into the darkness of those dhulumat, of that oppression. Those are the dwellers of the fire, and they will abide therein forever. May Allah protect us from them. Have you not looked at him who disputed with Ibrahim, had the debate with Ibrahim about his Rabb, because Allah had given him the kingdom? And Ibrahim said to him, my Lord, it is He who gives life and causes death. And he said, I give life and cause death. And Ibrahim said, verily Allah brings the sun from the east and bring you it from the west. So the disbelievers utterly defeated. And Allah guides not the people who are zalimun, who are the wrongdoers. And this is, again, we can go deep into tafsir, but the debate of Ibrahim alayhi salam, and how when Qarun, when he was debating Ibrahim alayhi salam, and he brought forth false pretense. He said, look, take out a prisoner and another one of them free him and one of them kill him. So I've given life and I've given death. And this is a lack of intelligence on the side of those who debate against the haqq, against the truth. And Ibrahim alayhi salam didn't go down that path of just debating with him there. Rather, Ibrahim alayhi salam, what did he do? He told him that, okay, my Rabb brings the sun from the east and sets it in the west. Do the opposite. Yani, life and death is from Allah. Nobody can give life. Nobody can give death except when Allah has ordained. Many people they get shot, they get stabbed, they live. If Allah didn't ordain for them to die, they will not die. Many people, there is no cause and they die because it's from Allah. If all of the world comes together, they can't give life. They can duplicate things, they can clone things, but that's not giving life. It's like as if somebody writes a beautiful poetry and then somebody goes and makes a photocopy of it. Well, making a photocopy is not writing that poetry, you're just copying it. Where did life come from? From Allah. Who can give life? Only Allah. Who can take life? Only Allah. But the people, because their intelligence is lacking, they think, oh, as if they free somebody from prison, that's giving them life. No. So this gives a lesson for us in da'wah. Don't debate down that rabbit hole of their false arguments. Stop the debate. Close the doors. Here Ibrahim alayhi salam, he did it in such a way that he won the debate by the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Or like the one who passed by a town and it had tumbled over its roofs, and he said, oh, how will Allah ever bring it to life after its death? So Allah caused him to die for 100 years and raised him up again. And he said, how long did you remain dead? The man, he said, perhaps I remained dead for a day or a part of a day. He said, nay, you have remained dead for 100 years. Look at your food and look at your drink and look at your food and show no change, and look at your donkey. And thus we have made for you a sign for the people. Look at the bones, how we bring them together and clothe them with flesh. And when this was clearly shown to him, he said, I know now that Allah is able to do all things. From the bab of tafsir, we know that this is to be Uzair alayhi salam. And he looked at a town that was destroyed and he thought, how can this ever come back to life? And this by the will of Allah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives life. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala caused them to die. And then raised him up and showed him how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can give life. And this is the miracles of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And remember when Ibrahim said, my Lord, show me how you give life to the dead. And he, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, said, do you not believe? Ibrahim alayhi salam said, yes, I believe, but I want to be stronger in faith. And one is just to have iman, one is to have ayn al-yaqeen, yani to have something that is stronger. And Ibrahim alayhi salam, no doubt he believed in Allah. He's speaking to Allah. But he wanted to increase his iman, his yaqeen. And a believer should always want to increase their faith. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told him, take 4 birds and then cause them to incline towards you, and he bring them to you. And then slaughter them, cut them up into pieces. And then put a portion of them on every hill. And then call unto them, and they will come to you in haste. And know that Allah is almighty and all-wise. And this is the favors Allah does to His awliya. Allah gave Ibrahim alayhi salam this favor by giving him this higher level of yaqeen. This is, according to most ulama tafsir, after Ibrahim alayhi salam was thrown in the fire. So his iman was already strong, but this tells us that don't settle. Always try to increase your iman. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told him, take these 4 birds and mush them up. As from the bab of tafsir we see that they were ground. And then put them on faraway places. And then call to them, and Allah gives life. Don't think this life is it. Allah will raise us up the same way. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He increased him in faith. And when he called and they came, he said that know that Allah is the Almighty and All-Wise. And the likeness of those who spend their wealth in the way of Allah is the likeness of a grain, or from tafsir, a grain of corn. It grows 7 years from the corn. And each year has hundreds of grains. Allah gives manifold increase to whom He wills, and Allah is all sufficient for His creations' needs and all-knowing. SubhanAllah, again you look at the beauty of the examples that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives. When we give sadaqah, when we give zakat, when we give for the sake of Allah, sometimes shaitan tells us, look, you've lost your wealth. But Allah is giving an example here, an example we can understand. When you take a seed and you plant it in the ground, Yani you plant it in the ground, you think you've lost your seed. You had a seed, you planted it, now you've lost your seed even, it's in the ground. But in reality, you haven't lost it. That plant, it grows. And then it gives you many fruits. Like if you look at the corn, each year of corn, it has so much. So Allah gives you an example to understand when you give sadaqah, when you give zakat, even though right then there, money is not going to fall from the sky and hit you. But when you give that sadaqah, when you give that zakat, Allah will make it, when you are patient, Allah will make it come back to you many folds. And a beautiful example that Allah has given here, and Allah gives the best examples. Those who spend their wealth in the cause of Allah and do not follow up their gifts with reminders of their generosity or with injury, their reward is with their Lord. On them shall be no fear, nor shall they grieve. Subhanallah. Also, when you give for the sake of Allah, a shart, a condition for you to get back from Allah is that you don't start then acting as if you did a favor. Oh, I give zakat, I give sadaqah. Like you give somebody sadaqah, you tell them, look, I gave you sadaqah, now go and do me a favor. No. Then you harm somebody with your tongue or physically, and you tell them, what? I gave you so much sadaqah. Why are you complaining? No. When you give something for the sake of Allah, it has to be for the sake of Allah, not for a favor upon somebody. So when you want something back from Allah, then you have to do it in that way. And then you will have no fear and no grievance upon you in dunya and akhirah. Kind words and forgiving of faults are better than sadaqah, followed by injury. Subhanallah, what beautiful ayat. If you can't give to somebody, at least you can say kind words. At least you can forgive somebody's faults. If somebody has a mistake, maybe somebody has a fault in them, in their character, maybe they brag, maybe they boast, maybe they're vicious with their tongue. But you forgiving them will gain you a higher reward than somebody who gives money and then harms the person, and injures the person, brags to the person. Allah is rich, Allah is free of all needs, and He is the most forbearing. Halim. Forbearing, it's a hard thing to translate. Halim, slow to anger. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgives. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives opportunities. O you who believe, do not render vain your sadaqah. Do not ruin your sadaqah by reminding of your generosity. Don't go and tell people, I give so much sadaqah, I support so many families, I give so many masajid, I give this much. When you do this, you ruin your sadaqah. Or by injury, or by telling somebody, oh, I gave you this much, and then you harm them by your tongue or physical injury. Like him who spends his wealth to be seen of men, and he who does not believe in Allah nor in the last day. Like those people who give sadaqah, who give wealth, people get up in masajid, I'm going to give 10,000, 100,000. But if their niyyah is to encourage others, this is good. But if their niyyah is for the people to say, oh, he's so generous, oh, she's so generous, oh, they give so much, then that good deed is ruined. And in reality, when somebody does that, they're not professing their belief in Allah and the last day. If you really had belief in Allah and the last day, then you wouldn't be worried about who knows what you did. Who knows that you got up for tahajjud or not? Who knows you prayed or not? Who knows whether you gave sadaqah or not? You would know that Allah knows. And Allah will give you the reward of it in the last day. His likeness is the likeness of a smooth rock on which is a little dust. On it falls heavy rain, which leaves it bare. They are not able to do anything with it, anything with what they have earned. And Allah does not guide the disbelievers. Subhanallah, beautiful examples from Allah. And He is a smooth rock, rain comes on it, whatever is on it is gone. You can't use it, you can't make it fertile ground, like the ground that absorbs that water, and then you're able to use it, drink it. But a smooth rock, the water just flows off it, it's gone. And Allah does not guide the disbelieving people. If people have kufr, people don't want to believe in Allah, Allah doesn't need anybody. But those who have that want for guidance, those are the ones that Allah guides. And the likeness of those who spend their wealth seeking Allah's pleasure, while they in their own selves are sure and certain that Allah will reward them for spending in His cause, is a likeness of a garden on a height. Heavy rain falls on it, and it doubles its yields of harvest. And if it does not receive the heavy rain, light rain suffices it. And Allah is the all-seer of what you do. Beautiful examples. An example of one who does it for show is like the rock. The water flows off it. It doesn't benefit any. Smooth rock, water just flows off it. And the example of those who know that Allah will reward them, who believe in Allah, who are seeking Allah's pleasure. And they are certain, they have yaqeen, they don't doubt. Islam is never based on doubt, on yaqeen. They are certain that Allah will reward them. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives a likeness of them. It's like a garden that's high up. And the water comes and it goes into the soil, and its crops become more. And even if they don't get heavy rain, like somebody could have a lot of money, but it doesn't benefit them any. Even if they don't have heavy rain and a light rain, somebody could have a little bit of wealth, but Allah makes it have barakah for them. Even with a little rain, it will make it suffice for them, and Allah is the all-seer of what you do. Would any of you wish to have a garden with date palms and vines and with rivers flowing underneath, all kinds of fruit from him therein, while he is stricken with old age and his children are weak, not able to look after themselves? Then it is struck with fury and wild winds, so that it is burnt. Thus does Allah make clear His ayat, proofs, evidences and verses to you who give thought. SubhanAllah. Imagine those who have a lot of wealth, but they're all at the time of death. What good is that wealth going to do you? If you haven't given sadaqah, if you haven't given mal, what is all that money going to do for you when your life ends? And their children even are unable to take care of themselves. Their children, it's not like, okay, he left pious and virtuous children behind. And then all that wealth is destroyed. This is the example of the people who hoard wealth with no belief in the akhirah. But those who have thought, who think through this, they realize the world is temporary. They build their akhirah. And that is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes clear His ayat for those who think. O you who believe, spend of the good things which you have been given and that you have earned, through halal. The tafsir of this, through halal. And of which we have produced from the earth for you, and do not aim at that which is bad to spend on, from that which is haram. Though you would not accept it save if you close your eyes and tolerate therein. And know that Allah is rich and worthy of all praise. Even when we give sadaqah, give from what is the best. And when you spend your money in halal, spend in what is best. And do not give, from the Bab al-Tafsir, do not give from that which you wouldn't even want for yourself. And do not spend in that which is haram and those things that Allah has forbidden. Shaitan, he puts fear on you. He threatens you with becoming poor and orders you to commit evil acts of fahsha, of immoral acts, lewd acts. When Allah promises you forgiveness from Himself and a bounty, and Allah is sufficient for His creatures' needs and all of the creation's needs, and all-knowing. Shaitan, one of his tricks is always to make you think you're going to go broke. Or if you give to the money, where are you going to get money from? If you give so much for the sake of Allah to the poor, if you forgive your debts, where are you going to get it from? And Allah reminds you, where did you get it from in the beginning? From Allah. And Shaitan, he calls you towards lu'ud, towards zina, towards watching things that are haram for you to watch, towards saying words that are haram for you to say. These are the bad things that Shaitan calls towards, but Allah calls towards a bounty, a reward, and a forgiveness, and which in the tafsir of it will lead you to al-Jannah. He grants hikmah, wisdom, to whom He pleases, and he to whom hikmah is granted is indeed granted abundant good. But none remember, will receive a admonition except men of understanding. Hikmah, wisdom, is from the greatest bounties of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But it's not given to everybody. Allah gives it to those who deserve it. And those that have been given wisdom, it's greater than wealth. Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal, he said about knowledge and wealth. Somebody asked him, what's better, knowledge or wealth? He said, knowledge of Shari'i knowledge is better than wealth, because you have to protect wealth, but knowledge protects you. and whatever you spend from of spendings and of what has been given from sadaqah and charity in Allah's cause, or whatever you woe to make sure that Allah knows it all. Be sure that Allah knows it all. So whatever you make an oath, a intention to spend, or whatever you give in sadaqah, don't think Allah doesn't see you. Don't worry about bragging about it. Allah knows it. And for the zalimun, for the wrongdoers, there is no helper. In the end, if Allah doesn't help you, nobody can help you. If you disclose your sadaqah, it is well. But if you conceal them and give them to the poor, that is better for you. Sometimes you should give sadaqah openly. Sometimes in masajid especially, when somebody starts to give sadaqah, it encourages others to give. You can go to somebody, okay, let's me and you both give this orphanage or this masjid or these poor people. Sometimes you can do that as long as your niyyah is sincere. But if you give it secretly, it is easier to protect your niyyah, to give. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give you for what you have given and forgive you your sins. And Allah is well acquainted. Allah knows best of what you do. Not upon you, to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is being said, is there guidance. It's not in the hands of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam to guide anybody. But Allah guides whom He wills. And whatever you spend in good, it is for your own selves. And when you spend not except seeking Allah's reward and pleasure, and whatever you spend in good, it will be repaid to you in full, and you shall not be wronged. When you pay, when you give sadaqah, when you give for the sake of Allah, it will only benefit you. Allah doesn't need your wealth. Allah doesn't need your wealth. And know that you should do it only expecting the reward from Allah, not something back in this dunya. Don't do a favor to somebody and think, oh yeah, I did it for Allah, but now you owe me a favor. No. And whatever you spend in good, it will be repaid. Don't think that Allah will not repay you. And Allah will never wrong you. You will never be wronged. Charity is for the fuqara, for the poor in the cause of Allah, and are restricted from travel, those that cannot travel. These are the people that zakatul mal can be given to, as from the Bab of Tafsir. For the fuqara, for the poor, and those who are in the cause of Allah, and are restricted from travel, and cannot move about in the land for trade and work, and one who knows them not thinks that they are rich because of their modesty. Sometimes a person doesn't beg people, but they are in need. So people think they're not poor, but in really they are in need. You can give those people when they are in need. Some people, they're always quick to beg others. And this is a shameful characteristic in some of the people. You may know them by their mark. They do not beg of the people at all. What is their sign? That they don't beg of the people. And whatever you spend in good, surely Allah knows it well. Those who spend their wealth in Allah's cause by night and day, in secret and public. This is the one who's sakhi, the one who gives day and night for the sake of Allah. Sometimes they give openly to encourage others, and sometimes secretly to protect their niyyah. Surely Allah knows it well. Those who spend their wealth in Allah's cause by night and day, secret and in public, they shall have their reward with their Lord. On them shall be no fear, nor shall they grieve. Subhanallah, what better can you have than that? Those who eat riba, now we're talking about those who deal in riba, verily will not stand on the day of resurrection, except like the standing of a person beaten by shaitan, leading him to insanity. And that is the hardship they will have, and this is the seriousness. Pay attention to these ayat about riba. That is because they say trading is only like riba. Like some people today, they say, what's the difference? If you deal in riba or you do business, either way you make money. But whereas Allah has permitted trading and forbidden riba. What's the difference? Allah has made tijara halal and made riba haram. That's the difference. And that's all we need to explain. We don't need to get into the social economics of riba. No. Allah made it haram, that's it. Riba is haram. So whoever receives the message from his Lord and stops taking of or eating of riba shall not be punished for the past. And if somebody dealt with riba in the past because they didn't know, or they were misguided. Once they learned and once Allah guided them, if they made tawbah, then that past is forgiven. His case is for Allah to judge. But whoever returns to riba, somebody who makes tawbah but then it's not sincere, they go back, they're like, oh yeah, I'm not dealing with riba. They change the name of it. Nowadays they change it to profit, they call it profit. Such are the dwellers of the fire, and they will abide therein forever. Allah will destroy riba and will give increase to sadaqah. Subhanallah, when you think from your own mind, when you get money from riba, your wealth is increasing, but Allah will destroy your wealth. And when you're giving sadaqah, to you apparently your wealth is becoming less, but Allah will increase that sadaqah. And Allah likes not the disbelievers and sinners. Truly those who believe and do deeds of righteousness and perform a salah, who pray and give zakat, and they will have their reward with their Lord. On them will be no fear, nor shall they grieve. O you who believe, be afraid of Allah and give up that which remains due upon you from riba. From now onwards, from there onwards, you will be really from those who are believers. This is the ayat when people still had riba that was owed to them. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordained upon them to forgive that and be afraid of Allah and fear Allah, and Allah will forgive them of their past. And if you do not do it, then take a notice of war of Allah and His Messenger. Subhanallah. Pay attention. Those who deal with riba, Allah is saying that I'm declaring war on them. They have a notice from Allah and His Messenger. Who wants to go to war with Allah? Don't make excuses to find ways for riba. In our ummah today, this is a big disease, finding ways to make riba into being acceptable. In the Muslim lands that are opening up riba, know that you are declaring war with Allah and His Messenger. But if you repent, you shall have your capital sum. Deal not unjustly by asking more than your capital sum. If you give a loan, just take your loan back. Don't try to get other ways to get it back, or favors or things to get increased back. And you shall not be dealt with unjustly. Allah will make sure that you do receive your full capital sums. You don't borrow money and not return it. If you borrow money, you need to return it in full. And if the debtor, the one who is in debt, is in a hard time, then grant him time, give him lease. This is a good quality of the believer, even though it's the haqq of the person to get their money back on time. But if the person really is unable to, then the good person grants them extra time until it is easy for them to repay. But if you remit it by the way of charity, then this is better for you, if you did know. And be afraid of the day when you shall be brought back to Allah, and then every person shall be paid what they have earned, and they shall not be dealt unjustly. That day where you will get what you earned. O you who believe, when you contract a debt for a fixed period of time, write it down. Let a scribe write it down in justice between you. Let not the scribe refuse to write as Allah has taught him. So let him write. This is the best way in Sharia, to always write down the deals. Let him, the debtor who incurs the liability, dictate that he must fear Allah and his Lord and diminish not anything from what he owes. And that's a big lesson. When you borrow money, this is something that's an amana. Make sure you pay it on time. Don't be like from those people that borrow money and then they're spending money on all kinds of things and they're ignoring their debt, and then they tell the person who gave them money, be patient. No, Allah is telling you, look, don't do this. And from the bab of tafsir, we know that this is something that even Allah will not forgive until that person forgives. Even the shaheed, if he dies a shaheed, he's barred from Jannah until his debts are paid. If you owe somebody in dunya and you don't pay them back, Allah will not forgive that on the Day of Judgment until that person forgives it. Let not the scribe refuse to write as Allah has taught him. Let him, the debtor, be who incurs the liability, dictate. But if the debtor is in poor standing or weak or unable to dictate for himself, then let the guardian dictate for injustice, and get 2 witnesses out of your own men. And if there are not 2 men, then a man and 2 women, such as you agree for witness. Or if one of them, the 2 women errs, then the other can remind her. and he, the witness, should not refuse then where they are called for evidence. You should not become weary to write it, yani your contracts, whether it be small or big, for it is fixed term, and it is more just with Allah, more solid as evidence, and more convenient to prevent doubts amongst yourselves. There's much from the ahkam of sharia of witnesses and writing here. Not going to go into that for the sake of time. But it is from the way of sharia to always write down what you owe or the business dealings that you go into, so you don't have doubts and things later amongst yourselves, save when it is present a trade which you carry out on the spot amongst yourselves. Then there is no sin on you if you do not write it down. Yani, if you are somewhere and you make a deal and you don't have the time or ability, or you're traveling to write it down, it's not a sin. Yani, we don't want to go to another extreme. And it is still binding. But take witness wherever you make a commercial contract, let neither the scribe nor the witness suffer any harm. You shouldn't try to intimidate them. But if you do such harm, it will be the wickedness in you. So be afraid of Allah, and Allah teaches you, and Allah is the all-knowing and of everything, each and everything. And if you are on a journey and cannot find a scribe, then let there be a pledge therein, yani the one that is dealing. Then if one of you entrusts the other, let the one who is entrusted discharge his trust faithfully, and let him be afraid of Allah, his Lord, and conceal not the evidence, for he who hides it surely in his heart is sinful, and Allah is the all-knower of what you do. To Allah belongs all that is in the heavens and all that is on earth, and whether you disclose what is in of yourselves or conceal it, Allah will call upon you to account for it. You can hide it. You can get away with it in dunya. You can falsify evidence, get false witnesses, but Allah will take you to task for it in the akhirah. You will never get away with it in the end. Then He forgives whom He wills and punishes whom He wills, and Allah is able to do all things. The messenger, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, believes in what has been sent down to him from his Lord, and so do the believers. Each one of the believers believes in Allah and His angels and His books and His messengers. And this is the arkan of iman. We make no distinction between one another of the messengers. Even though we mentioned earlier that there may be different darajat, but we believe in them equally. We don't say we believe in Isa, but we don't believe in Moses. No, we believe in them, all of them. It is equally a part of our iman to believe in all of them. Unlike the Jews who disbelieve in the Prophet Jesus and the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and the Christians who disbelieve in the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We as Muslims, we believe in the Prophet Muhammad, the Prophet Jesus, the Prophet Moses, the Prophet Abraham, and all of the Anbiya alayhim salam. Peace be upon all of them. And they say, we hear and we obey and we seek your forgiveness, our Lord, and to you is the return. Allah burdens not a person beyond his scope. He gets reward for that which is good that he has earned, and he is punished for the evil which he has earned. Allah never puts a burden more than we can handle. O Lord, and this is what the believers, they make this dua that Allah has mentioned. O Lord, punish us not if we forget or fall into error. O Lord, lay not on us a burden like that which you did lay upon those before us. O Lord, put not on us a burden greater than we have the strength to bear. Pardon us, forgive us, and grant us forgiveness. Have mercy on us. You are our Mawla, our protector, our supporter, our pardon, and give us victory over the disbelievers. And these ayat are from the ayat of Ruqya as well, and they have a great message in them. وَجَزَاكُمُ اللَّهُ خَيْرًا.